so lucky. I'm so lucky I have you.
Oh. Uh-oh.
I have to go.
Oh, okay. Wade's expression of gratitude and happiness mirrors the exact same way her father has unintentionally put pressure on her throughout her life. In a way, Ember has been conditioned to associate this phrase with the pressure to live up to Bernie's expectations, so now she's going through transference, a psychological phenomenon where a person unconsciously directs feelings and attitudes from one person to another. So she transfers the feelings of pressure, guilt, etc. that she associates with her father onto Wade, even though he is not imposing anything on her. This phrase causes the same emotional trigger that she has towards her father, but because she doesn't feel the same familial duty towards Wade, she feels safe enough to run. That's a green flag. In her relationship with Wade, she doesn't have to fulfill the role of dutiful daughter. So this flexibility and freedom allows her to get more in touch with her authentic self. With her father, the emotional trigger would convince her to suppress her feelings and adhere to the role of obedient child. But with Wade, she can be more spontaneous and genuine, and she's free to express her discomfort by creating distance rather than suppressing her feelings, you see?
Wait, what? Where
Yeah,
are
it's
you
a bit
going?
confusing.
Back to my life at the shop, where I belong. I take over tomorrow.
Whoa, 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 hold up. You don't want that. You said so yourself.
It doesn't matter what I want.
Of course it does.
Now, Wade is experiencing some sort of cognitive dissonance as well because he had interpreted them touching as an important bonding moment and he thought they're on the same page, but her running away from him confirms he was wrong. I like the fact he doesn't immediately focus on his feelings, but he practices empathy. He shows concern and asks questions. From her side, Ember has a lot of internalized guilt and obligation that she feels towards her family. But what is truly heartbreaking is that even after realizing herself that she feels trapped, even after realizing she has desires of her own that are different from her father's, she still feels compelled to suppress those feelings.
Listen! You've got an opportunity to do something you want with your life.
What? Yeah, that may work in your rich kid follow your heart family,
Okay,
but getting
offensive.
to do what you want is a luxury, and not for people like me.
Why not?
Ember is showcasing a scarcity mindset, which is when people focus more on limitations rather than possibilities. She feels trapped because of the pressure, of course, but the biggest thing that makes that prison real is that she believes in it, and she acts according to the limitations her prison imposes on her. She never rebels, basically. This is why having a rebellion phase during your teenager years is actually beneficial, as long as it's contained, right? Like, don't set cars on fire. It's also important to mention that her response kinda hints to internalized depression as well, which is when people from marginalized or disadvantaged backgrounds absorb as truth the negative stereotypes and limited narratives society feeds them. Very often parents tend to transfer this survival mode to their kids without understanding they're raising their kids to live in a world that doesn't exist. It's like many times parents leave their home country and migrate to a more abundant place to give their children a better life, but once there, they raise their children to not ever fit in this new world they are in. They raise their children to fit in the old world they have left. So in reality, they really teach their child to never take advantage of the opportunities that they could never dream of. It's like they never expected that a better life will often mean a different life.
Just tell your father how you feel. This is too important. Maybe he'll agree.
Oh, yeah.
Ember's response is not making much sense. Chances are she didn't have time to think about what Wade suggested, but because they find themselves in a heated discussion, she also doesn't take time to actually address him. Her "yeah" can be very well translated in real life to "that's just how I feel" or "that's my opinion" as responses, which often feels as if they're ending the conversation. And it can feel also like a rejection to someone's attempt to communicate. I find this a mild form of stonewalling, which is when a person decides to withdraw from a conversation, but rather than shutting down, as usually this happens, she's using a dismissive response to avoid going into a conversation that feels threatening to her conditioning. It's like she's trying to prevent Wade from sharing his ideas as they seem to challenge her very existence and life. If this happens to you in real life, a simple "hey, I never thought of that," or "I don't know, let me think about it," could help in these situations when you're challenged about ideas you feel strongly about, but for which you may not yet have clear reasons.
Funny. This whole time I thought you were so strong. But turns out, you're just afraid.
Don't you dare judge me. You don't know what it's like to have parents who gave up everything for you.
True. What Wade is trying to say here is that he thought that they're on a journey together, that she's on a journey to learn to be vulnerable and honest by watching him do it, and that he's on a journey towards learning to become stronger and bolder by watching her do it. But he now realizes they can't go on that journey together because she has chosen fear over strength right now. Wade is feeling frustrated and helpless. He has seen her struggles, her breakdowns and breakthroughs, and to see her choosing the same things that make her be so unhappy is extremely difficult to manage. Yet he is able to express his feelings while simultaneously calling out her defense mechanism. In psychological terms, Wade is trying to tell her that the fear is driving her decisions. Ember perceives this remark as judgment and reacts defensively, of course. I think she's experiencing guilt-induced anger, and it happens because she's not taking the time to process the guilt she's feeling, so it gets redirected outwardly as anger. Truth is that the idea that she's acting out of fear rather than strength threatens the very foundation of her self-worth, because her self-worth is tied to fulfilling her parents' expectations.
I'm fire, Wade! I can't be anything more than that. It's what I am and what my family is. It's our way of life. I cannot throw all of that away just for you.
Girl.
I don't understand.
Of course, we go back to the internalized depression, but there's something deeper than that here. Acting outside of family expectations might feel like an automatic betrayal, and that often makes a person feel as if they have to choose between the identity shaped by their family or their own emerging sense of self, with no middle ground. This is called identity foreclosure, and it takes quite some time to navigate. That's why Wade says, I don't understand, because he's not the one that asked her to make a choice or to give up her identity. As a matter of fact, he cannot quite understand why she seems uninterested in integrating her identity with a life she also desires. But he'd need a lot of context we can find only in her mind, and that she's unwilling to discuss at the moment. Nothing will change the fact that she's fire, but she seems to think that being fire also requires specific behaviors and lifestyles.
And that alone is a reason this could never work.
Come
It's
on.
over, Wade.
Her breaking things off because he doesn't understand something about her experience is a defense mechanism to avoid challenging her beliefs any further. To him, this feels insensitive and unfair, as he has no possibility of understanding something so big as this. In Gestalt therapy, there's something called the field theory, and it says that each person's experiences, perceptions, and realities are shaped by their unique field, which includes their personal history, cultural background, environment, education, all of that. That's why communication is important, because it's impossible for someone else to have access to your field in the way that you do. You need to give them access, and the only thing that they can do is to learn about it through talking and asking questions to you. This is the basis for mental and emotional bonding, by the way. If your partner desires more emotional or mental connection, chances are that they feel you're not curious about them, that you're not asking questions to learn about their field. And this is the basis for monogamy, choosing to devote oneself towards one person's field for the rest of our lives in all of its nuances and imperfections. Oh no, I have feelings about this.